It can't always be free-flowing football, and that was certainly the case today down at Rugby Park. But Celtic done what they had to do, got the 3 points, and we now head into an international break back on top of the table. This is Tino with the final whistle show, joined here by Brydo and by James. A double whammy for a Sunday. Brydo, I'll come to you first. Your thoughts on the win today?
It was not pretty. Didn't think it was going to be pretty. I messaged you boys just pretty much straight after the game and thought it's one of those games that tick the box, get the fixture out the road and get down the road with the points. Tough few fixtures and stuff of late, so we had to show a different side of the game. We've done it okay, but I did think we rode our luck a wee bit as well at times. So yeah, it just wasn't a great watch. Very seldom do we have great watches on pitches like that, to be honest. So just glad to get the points, mate, and we'll have a break again for international football, which is brilliant. So yeah, happy to get the points.
James, I'll come to you in just a second, but you lads will see some of the comments that are coming in. Not our best performance, but job done, says John Coyle. Brutal today, says Doc, but we got the points. Very important 3 points in a horrible park. Well done, Celtic, says Jerry O'Donnell. And I think that's generally the theme, James. Are you telling me anything different, or is that exactly what you've seen as well?
No, and I think that's fine. You know, in the passage of a season, you're going to have games that are just tough to watch, but you come out with a clean sheet, 2 goals and 3 points. You know, the players have been relentless in their consistency this season. You know, outside of Dortmund, you know, just that blip, as you called it, during the week, they've been outstanding. So you're going to get games like this. I think it shows the scouting team and Paul Tisdale the heavy work required at right side of centre half, because when we're slotting in a left-hand sided guy there, it definitely disrupts the flow. You know, with 2 left-sided guys on. So not just Carl Vickers himself, just the fact that it's a left-sided defender on the right-hand side of the centre half. Everything starts from the core of the team. So when you haven't got that fluidity, and then you add that to the pitch and the ball, just at such a slow pitch, it was hard going for all the players to take a touch and lay off and get the fast-flowing football that, you know, we know this team plays. So add it all together, and it makes for a poor spectacle. So the SPFL have got to get a grip of this.
Yeah, I'll come to Brydo just shortly. Brydo, you've got some strong thoughts on that and some kind of stats to back a few things up. But in terms of summarising the game overall, I think Big Dom nails it here. He says 3 points, clean sheet, ice rink pitch and Champions League hangover. Job done. Similar sentiment from Fred Williams. Fred says, we can't blow every team away. We dug in and we worked hard. Thanks to everyone who's joining us here on the live. If you do want to comment, and we do encourage any and all questions and comments, you do need to be subscribed to the show. It's free to do, so just click the red button, and at that point you can then ask myself, Brydo and James any questions or comments between now and around about 27 minutes from now, give or take. Brydo, let's get to the pitch. I know it comes up every time, and it certainly comes up when you lose or draw points, but the time to air your grievances is when you still win. You know, that's the time to say it's not sour grapes. This just isn't a good advert for Scottish football. And the chat is now that Kilmarnock have prolonged. They were due to change to a grass pitch next season. They've pushed that back a season. James, I think they're going to spend some money on their training pitch. Should that be the priority? Lots of questions. But Brydo, I'll let you take this one away.
Mate, it's just, I think the product in Scottish football is, as we know, it's challenging because of the money that's available. But we've got like 42 registered professional teams, you know, and with a population our size compared to like 92 professional teams in the whole of England. And it's just the money's that we've got to start looking at a quality over quantity at times. But there also needs to be a criteria set out by the people at the powers that be. And that criteria has got to be about what that product looks like when we're promoting it on the TV, and also for the quality of a game for fans paying money to go and watch it. It's abysmal. The pitch is, by the way, that's not an excuse for today, because we'll talk about different players and different things, but Kilmarnock have got a sporting advantage with that pitch. There's no doubt about that. Like, certain teams can't play certain players on that pitch when they play them. That's an advantage. Their home record, you know, the differential between their home and away record is each season is pretty big. Like last year, they won 61% of their home points available, and only 36 of their away finished fourth in the league. And the season before that was 56 points, 56 of their home points, and only 14% of their away points. When you compare that to like Motherwell, who have got like pretty much 37% and 38 home and away, 42 and 46 the year before, home and away. There's definitely got to be something in the fact that they can set up a certain way because of the pitch. They deliberately don't water the pitch in games. I've seen that being at the stadium myself. It makes it slow, it makes it sticky. It only favours one group, and it's them. And it's wrong that it's like that. They gain a financial advantage from that too, that they can then go and invest. Big hoo-ha last year about Dundee not fixing their pitch, and they invested money in a player, and perhaps Motherwell didn't make top 6 because of that. Kilmarnock have done that just in plain sight, and it's just it's a garbage watch at all the pitches that have got that. So it needs to be sorted out. And the criteria set out that's agreed that if you want to be a professional club, you're full-time, grass pitch, the percentage of money has to be invested in an academy. There has to be a reserve league of some sort that allows a pathway for young players of all the clubs to come through, and they all do their bit. Everybody's got to carry a bit of the weight. And I just feel like if they're putting it off another year, it's like, what's the point in even making these amendments to them anyway? So it's just rubbish. But Celtic didn't play well today.
Yeah,
the pitch was one factor, not all the factors.
Of course, but it is relevant, and even the likes of Fred Williams makes a good point in the comments about, Kilmarnock, James, they've been pleading poverty. That's just why we've got the Astro. It allows us to rent out the park and all these kind of things. Yet there's so many empty seats at Kilmarnock today that Celtic fans would easily fill every time out, and the two things can't be true. Listen, as I say, it's a bigger topic for another day. We'll move on from now. James, let's get to the football side of things. A couple of notable changes. Carter Vickers, we knew there was some sort of caution over the fact that he didn't train on Friday, and lo and behold, he misses out. And Liam Scales comes back in alongside Trusty in the defence, and Adam Idah comes in for Kyogo. Let's talk about Adam Idah. Where are you at with him right now, James? Some concerns isn't the word. We know what he's capable of. We've seen it. We've seen it at Rugby Park, no less, on the night we won the league last season, but not quite at himself just now.
Yeah, I mean, there's some players that, come along and you question if they've got the ability. Idah's not that. He's got the ability all day long. I don't know what's going on with him, that he's not hitting the heights as yet, because he certainly should be. I keep backing him to start. Games like this, they're made for him. We were down there last May and watched him rip the place apart. He was just outstanding. And it didn't happen from today. The fact that McGregor scored because Idah couldn't get on the end of it is a point in itself. Idah should have been on the end of it. That was, the ball was for him. So there was a lot of that going on. There was maybe 2 or 3 more of those where he was just half a yard off, and is he half a yard not sharp? I just have to question his fitness. He was on his heels rather than his toes a lot of the time. And I don't mean fitness, he's fit enough to play. Just as he at the absolute peak of his fitness and ripping to perform for Celtic, I'm just not seeing it, and I want to see it. I think the guy's a talent.
Brydo, I think, to James's point, fitness and sharpness are 2 very different things. The guy's a professional athlete. He's a fit guy in terms of general standards. But there's a sharpness, particularly as a striker, that you need to have if you're going to perform at your best. And it does look like he doesn't quite have that at this moment in time. Yeah,
and he's also lacking in confidence, I think. He was just hesitant quite a lot, which didn't help us in any shape or form, because we needed to be sharp when everything else was slowing us down. I just felt like today was a day that for him to do the simple things really, really well. Just hold it up, lay it off, get in the box and occupy defenders wherever he could to make space perhaps for other midfielders like Engels, for example. But it just didn't happen. The ball kept breaking down, and he was a big part of that, unfortunately. He took a heavy knock to his beak, which is never fun in a cold Sunday afternoon in Kilmarnock. But I just think he's not getting a run of games. That's just the way it is. You've got to be ready to come on and do it at the time, and he's just never done it today. And I thought it was suited for him, and that's why perhaps he's actually been bought in the first place.
Do you know, there's some chat doing the rounds. A reasonable question from Pat McLaughlin, who says, "Have we spent $9.5 million on a super sub?" It's a fair question, because particularly last season, actually, we've seen for the most part he was coming off the bench and having a huge impact. And some guys end up being like that, but I think it does the player a bit of a disservice. I think ultimately He's a very talented guy. He also started, as we mentioned, the night we won the league, and he was phenomenal. You know, he's got it in him to start and play well for Celtic. He certainly won't want to be the guy or be tagged as being the guy who's, you know, here to just come off the bench or here to play when Kyogo needs a rest and all those kind of things. But it is clear he's not quite at himself. James, we'll get back to the match action though. What's your general take across the first half? Obviously, we get the goal just towards the break, but what were you seeing? How was it playing out for you?
No fluidity, you know, no real passages of play. You know, you and I watched the Kilmarnock Rangers game a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't say we were better than Rangers, but we weren't, you know, streets away from them. We were poor, and the biggest problem Rangers had was they couldn't string passes together, and it was something similar to ourselves. And then we had to ride their luck a wee bit. You know, Kelly were playing an hour half, and they were having a go, and fair play to them for it. But with that, there was no game intelligence to then exploit the gaps. You know, it was kind of backs to the wall and clearances, some scrappy clearances and unforced errors. All the things that go into the equation of a long afternoon at Rugby Park. So it was just a matter of getting through it. Like, there's no point in looking at this game and going, right, what do we need to do next time or next game or next time we're there or whatever kind of. It's just want to put in the bin, take the points, stick them on the board and move on.
Yeah. Do you know, the league programme is 38 games long, and you're not going to be at your brilliant best in all of those. I think we need to look at the start Celtic have generally made as we now go into this November break. What is this today? The 10th of November. As we now go into this break, as I say, I'm going to call the Dortmund game a blip until someone tells me otherwise. But Brydo, you need to be impressed and pretty delighted actually with what Celtic have brought to the table thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's a lot of kind of new players. The manager's put his stamp on it, obviously. We've stepped up a gear from last season. And I think, you know, the manager, right from the pre-season, he said it's the best pre-season he's ever had. And I think the way we've started it, yes, the blip in Dortmund, all you can do is draw a line under that and try and learn from it. And I think that's exactly what they've done with especially the top level games, Atalanta and then Leipzig on Tuesday. So there's a lot of positives. We'll probably go into one of them, Kuhn in particular. But, you know, yeah, there's things. It's good that we've got stuff to improve with, you know, because we could that you know, Idah, for example, and Engels, you know, he's always going to improve. If they do that, then we're going to be in a far better place, you know, come into the next maybe even into December when we start playing those games thick and fast. So yeah, we're absolutely fine. Without Aberdeen's run, we would be clear probably of 9 points, probably. So yeah, like. I don't think we can do a great deal more based on what we've had in front of us so far. So yeah, I'm the same as you. I think just credit where it's due, and you know, we can analyse it today. That's what we're here to do. But there's no point in dwelling on it for sure.
James, the term European hangover gets bandied about if you're anything less than your very best in the days following a European match of any sorts. Celtic put in what I would argue is their best European performance in 20 years during the week, but that doesn't come without taking a lot out of the players. They're pro players that, you know, they're paid to play football and they've got the best sports science, the best recovery. But there's no doubt, it's just human nature. There's no doubt you get so buzzed up, so motivated, so excited for a Tuesday night against Leipzig. And it is just a bit of a dip going to Kilmarnock. Now, I know as pros, they don't have that excuse, but they're also human beings. They're not robots. Do you buy into the fact that it might just have been a hangover after the highs of Tuesday?
I mean, Rugby Park and McInnes is the perfect theatre for that kind of challenge, you know. I think it's an energy thing, you know. It's not, they're all fit lads, but it's an energy thing. You saw, you referenced yourself, Aberdeen coming into the cup game against us after beating Rangers, and they'd put their heart and soul into the Rangers game, got their just desserts for that, got the 3 points, and then they came into us and we are flying and we just ran away with the game, and they were spent from an energy perspective. It's kind of the same as what we've had. The players put everything into that game on Tuesday, and, you know, just full congratulations to every single one of them. But that does have an impact down the line. You know, energy's a finite force or a finite whatever kind of thing. And once that's spent, it takes a bit of time to build it back up again. So I think that's what we've suffered a wee bit from today. But you also, whatever energy you have is getting sucked out of you by just physical football that, you know, I thought ref let a fair bit go. Maybe, you know, a couple lines for us as well, but definitely a lot for them. Got a stand-side linesman that just gives decisions against you when they're for you, all stupid stuff like that. So, just nothing to worry us. but I think the energy was a big part of today.
Yeah, and I think comment from Paul Brady, Paul suggesting not a big fan of international breaks, but he thinks this one might have come at a good time. And we're always at that debate, don't we? It's good time, it's not a good time, breaks up momentum, whatever. Sometimes it goes for you, sometimes it doesn't. You need to just take it when it comes. But it does give Celtic a chance to kind of rest, recover, regroup, all these kind of terms. A certain amount of players will go out with their national sides. Some will stay. I'd argue that Carl Vickers will stay, for example, and work on his recovery. And I think that's just as part of the programme. And Celtic have got a relentless run of fixtures when we come back. I think we play Hearts at Tynecastle on the 23rd of November, and then we're back to everything ahead of that, Bruges and whatever else. Brydo, I'm not going to spend too much time on the opening goal. Callum McGregor gets the credit for it. It's one of those ones, isn't it? You see it fairly often where it's no man's land for a goalkeeper. He can't come, doesn't know what to do, and lo and behold, it just kind of nestles in the back of the net. Idah will have been doing his very best to get something on it, and maybe that's affected the goalkeeper. But McGregor gets the goal. I think that's his 5th of the season. Kuhn gets the assist. And when your luck's in, your luck's in. So Kuhn will get a start for that. But I want to spend a wee bit of time on the guy on your screen right now. It's Kasper Schmeichel. And despite, Celtic winning the game 2-0, he is your top man. He's the man of the match. And actually, let's cover him in general, Brydo, out with what he's done today. He's brought so much to the party for Celtic. And he's been a huge bonus since coming in. We didn't know how we were going to replace Joe Hart. I think we've upgraded on Joe Hart.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I really, really don't. Joe was fantastic for us, had a lot of experience as well. He was a leader on the park. Kasper's got all that, but he's also got the attributes which affects how we play in a positive way. Today was that as well. It wasn't just the shot stopping that he done. It was his ability with the ball at his feet. He brings a calmness to his defence. I think on another day with a different goalkeeper, that calmness isn't there. I think goalkeepers, part of their job is to do that, is to make us all feel comfortable. And he made some really good saves, some big saves. Some, okay, he's got to make them and he should make them. But he, quite frankly, has been one of the best signings we've made for sure.
Yeah, he's made a huge impact. And thanks for the additional sound effects in the background, Brydo. I really like
that. That was Kasper just reenacting one of his saves, mate. I don't even know what that
was. James Schmeichel makes a huge save at 1-0. I think it's Matty Kennedy that finds himself inside the box, 14, 15 yards out. And Schmeichel gets low to his left. And then a couple of minutes later, it's the match-winning goal ultimately. And we talk at different times about how a Celtic goalkeeper needs to be so switched on mentally, because you've nothing to do for long passages of play. Not quite the case today. He had plenty to do, but he came up with the big stops when required.
Yeah, and he does that, and it's a unique thing. And Joe Hart spoke about it a lot, that you're inactive for so much of the game, and then you need to be right on it. But you're also part of building attacks. So it's not you're not just sitting smoking your pipe at the leaning against the goalpost. The goalie's an active part of starting things as well. But I thought he was great today, as he was on Tuesday night. He just seems to be getting more and more involved every game. The one slight criticism I've got, he's got to cut out, is that wee lofted ball that he passes to a fullback, the Craig Gordon special. It's a terrible ball. By the time he gets to the fullback, it's slow. He's got two guys on him. You're under pressure. That one's got to stop. Apart from that, his distribution's spot on, but, looking for perfection, I suppose.
Good for the neutrals. James keeps it exciting. It's always good to
I don't like it.
Brydo, let's get to that second goal. It's Nicolas Kuhn. I think that is now his 10th goal of the season, and the aforementioned assist was his 11th assist. It's blistering pace. It's a great ball by Alistair Johnson. It's good vision to see him making his break down the right-hand side. But Nicolas Kuhn finishes that in two touches. The first touch with his, let's call it, weaker right foot is perfect because it puts him across the path of the defender, whose only choice would be to pull him for a penalty. He can't do that. And then he's got the class. He's got Kyogo inside him. He's got Idah towards the back post. Not interested. He knows he's got the confidence at this moment in time to clip it past the goalkeeper. It's the very picture you can see on your screen right now. And it's a brilliant finish from a player at the very top of his game. Yeah,
and that is the difference. So when Celtic go to these venues, that's the difference that right there. If it was 1-0 and it stayed 1-0, we were in a serious position of dropping points. It was the first kind of period of the game for a good bit. I think Bernardo was involved on the right-hand side. It just we were a bit more patient, kept the ball a bit longer. It then allowed Alistair Johnson to actually pick up a better quality of pass. It wasn't a rushed pass. He actually seen the movement. You could actually see it on the screen. You could actually see Kuhn drop him in, and the guy tried to get a hold of him, but couldn't. He was away, and as soon as he's away, that's him. And before you know it, his quality was all over it. And like you said, when somebody's got that confidence, which is a complete contrast to some of the players, you know, Idah, for example, he knows exactly what he's doing. The touch to get across the defender, and he knows he's just going to wrap his foot around that and put it in the bottom corner. And it's just, his numbers are absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And he'll be worth about 90 million by the end of the season, probably. And, but no, all joking aside, he's been such an influential part to what we're doing. And today was no different.
Yeah, it's great to see. James, the goal just about seals the game. Obviously, a couple of moments after that, but just about seals the points. And that's a sign of a big game player. When your defence is under pressure, the game's in the balance, big players come up with big moments, and Nicolas Kuhn continues to do that. He stepped up on the big stage against Leipzig on Tuesday night, and that's the ongoing challenge. You've got to do it domestically and at that European level. Excuse me, if you want to get on your international side. And at the moment, he's not. But who's to say that he won't be a feature at some point in the near future? But I don't think I've picked up your chest infection. I'll be fine. James, there's a number of subs that have been made around about the goal, two before it, two after. Bernardo comes on for Engels and Kyogo comes on for Idah. That's in the 63rd minute. And then just after the goal, Kuhn comes off, as does Alistair Johnson, and Tony Ralston and James Forrest come on. Are you a wee bit surprised that the final sub, Luke McCowan, wasn't till a bit later in the day? And do you feel McCowan's been a wee bit unlucky? I've talked about Bernardo being unlucky not to feature more. Does McCowan fall into that bracket for you?
Yeah, I would have started him for a start, but I would also brought him on at half time. I thought Rio and Engels were both pretty poor first half, and a big part of why things weren't sticking. You know, nothing was linking through them. Engels is young boys, he's still got a lot of coachability in him, a lot of kind of growth in him. He needs to learn to stand up when he's getting harried. He get kind of hassled out of the game today, and he didn't like it. And that's going to happen, particularly in Scotland, but it can happen in Europe as well. You have to learn that if you want to be a top pro. So I've got great hope for the boy. I think he's a class player, but that's something he's got to add to his game. So I'd have hooked him at half time because McCowan loves that. Like, you're hassling me, I'll hassle you right back. He came on and got into the mix of it a wee bit as well. You know, he shows he can not just handle that, but thrive on it and give it back. So, yeah, he can certainly consider himself unlucky. But I don't know many Celtic fans that don't think he's the real deal. You know, he's not just there to make up numbers. He's not some Scottish squad player. He's part of the squad, and he's looking to take part. So, yeah, I think he's chapping the door for a start. Today was a good opportunity, but there'll be others.
Yeah, there will be. Brydo, your thoughts on the subs in general? Right subs at the right time? Any comments on McCowan? And also, just briefly, I talked up Yang. Zinedine Ziyang, they're calling him, for his cameo during the week, but doesn't feature today. And I guess that's just the way it goes sometimes.
I think Hatate was put in there for that physicality today, but it just didn't work. He was just off it, as was Engels, as was McGregor. And when you have all three of them in that same position in the park, which we had games in the past, something's inherently wrong, and it's probably to do with just how we were playing in a general form. The subs, they've done okay when they came on. You know, I think Bernardo got a few touches of the ball. He calmed it down a wee bit. Like I said, he played his part, just keeping the ball for the second goal. McCowan came on, and he was a bright spark. He just didn't have long enough, probably, to impact the game as much as we would have wanted him to. And Kyogo certainly brought a bit more energy, and it put a bit of pressure on Kilmarnock that they didn't have it their own way, just kind of playing those wee clip balls up to our defence, which we struggled with a good bit at the time. I know the manager came out and thought we'd done really well. I thought we were not that great at it, to be honest with you. But yeah, they done their part to get us over the line. So yeah, it probably was the right time, but maybe McCowan just a bit longer.
And Yang?
Yang, I think there's a trust issue with Yang, with the manager. I think there's a trust issue, and I think when if the fact that we're 2-0 up, see if it was one each, maybe you might have thought of changing it and bringing somebody on like that. But I think when it's 2-0, James Forrest is a kind of a safety of the boots, isn't he? He doesn't give the ball away that much. He keeps it, he holds it, he knows what he's doing, he's experienced. And I think that would probably be the main reason why Yang wouldn't be entrusted to come on and maybe lose his man. And, you know, I've seen it before. So it wasn't really a game. The game got away from Celtic. And to be honest, those creative players, Kuhn, when he got it, yes, he got his goal, but they weren't in the game that much. Idah as well. It was just bitty, and you can't really criticise them that much. They weren't fed anything. You know, our whole system is built up to play through the lines to then break the press and then give them one-on-ones. They just didn't do it. Simple as that.
It may be Yang. I'll just need to bide his time. You know, horses for courses and all that kind of stuff. And I think it probably wasn't the right environment for him to go and do his thing. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens after the break. I don't know if he's back in the fold for South Korea. I'll need to double check that. But interesting to see what Brendan Rodgers decides when we come back. Comment on screen from Scott McCorry. Scott's a good pal of the show. He says it's unfair to pick out Hatate when no one really looked the part. But if Hatate wants that big move that he's said to want, then turning up the way he did here and there isn't quite good enough. He needs to be more consistent. And it brings it on nicely, I suppose, to one of the big talking points of the day. James, your take on the Hatate yellow card obviously was reviewed as anything like that would be in terms of the VAR stuff. Were you surprised they stayed on?
No, there's two very similar incidents, different challenges, but similar incidents in that they were both straight yellows. So the elbow on Idah, which is, you know, a poor challenge, but the guy's not looking for Idah. If he's looking for Idah, it's a red card. He's not, it's a yellow. No complaints with that whatsoever. Hatate's going for the ball as Donnelly comes in, and he sees Donnelly, sees him late, but does see him and pulls out the challenge. I think that's what saved him. If he hadn't pulled out, then he's in real trouble. Donnelly, you know, which I suppose is he's right, makes an absolute meal of it. He barely gets contact at all, and he's looking to get the player sent off. But no, straight yellows both for me.
Brydo definitely falls into the we've seen them given category. And you do fear the worst. There's almost no impact. There's certainly no real force, but he is high. And I know still images don't ever do these things any favours, but you can see the still image in front of you just now. He is pretty high. We've certainly seen them result in red cards. But what do you think? Was it the right call overall?
Yeah, just. And if you actually look at that image, he's not straightened his leg to try and hurt the player. He's actually bent his leg to try and pull away from the player. The player's actually run towards him as well. Last year, it was probably a red, just because of some of the bizarre decisions that we've seen last season. There was almost any image at all like that. So when you say you've seen them given, we've seen a lot more last year. They are trying to bring that tariff down, I suppose, of what's a red and what's not, which is better for the game. I think Derek McInnes has actually said he's looked at it as well, and he said it's not a red. There was no aggression in the tackle. There was no impact on the player. There was no ferocity in it. Yeah, it's just awkward. Sometimes that happens when the ball bounces up, and he actually just straight after that picture was taken, his hands are actually in the air saying, apologising before Donnelly hits the ground, because he's pulled out and he's put his hands up to say, look, I've tried to miss you, but I didn't. But you're right, some referees get excited. So can we count ourselves lucky that referee didn't? Yeah, maybe. You know,
should be lucky to get the laws applied correctly.
You're right with that, James, but we don't always see that. That's where the luck comes in. So
I think the big challenge is that the laws are so subjective, and they all get told the same laws, but different refs will apply them in different ways. But to Brydo's point, and I think it's a good one, about the tariff should be high. A red card has a serious impact on your team. You know, going from 11 men down to 10, it can have a huge impact on how the game plays out. Therefore, it should be quite extreme to get red cards. And what we've seen certainly last season was it was so easy to pick up reds. I think a Yang's red card against Hearts, and it was an effing joke that you get sent off the field of play for something like that. And I'm glad Willie Collum and others seem to have come in. And do you know what? Willie Collum's taken no end of grief at different times, and sometimes pretty justified. I think it's quite refreshing what they've done in terms of the transparency. They're bringing out their monthly review of VAR. We don't always agree with it, but they're bringing it out and they're kind of showing us they're working, if you like. And I do think they're trying to be a bit more, there's a bit more common sense being applied when it comes to reds and penalties, because those two types of things can have a huge bearing on games of football. So I think overall it was the right decision with Hatate, and I wouldn't like to see anyone red carded for that, him or any other players. So, yeah, you can argue we got away with one. I just think it was the right application of the new interpretation of the rules. Lads, we're heading towards the end of the piece. As I mentioned, we've now got a couple of weeks break again, frustrating as it might be. We come back against Hearts. I think that finished 1-0 at Rangers there. So we come back against Hearts on the 23rd at Tynecastle. James, it's the start of a fairly intense run of fixtures. So what are you thinking as we head back from the break?
What's the question? What am I thinking about playing Hearts? Is this the Hearts preview?
The various fixtures that we've got coming up.
Yeah, I thought Forrest was part of that today, just getting him some game time in his legs because he'll be needed as much as Yang's needed and it's horses for courses and all these things. Ralston too, getting Johnston a wee bit of rest. We're starting to see Rodgers in this November to February period where it's just relentless, starting to really utilise the squad to give us some time and space, to give players time and space off the pitch and to get minutes in the other guys' legs because they're going to be needed and called upon. So that's the key theme for me at the moment is just smart squad management, good rotation.
Yeah, Brydo, just to give you an idea of those fixtures, maybe I should have helped James by giving him a run through, but we're here now. It's Hearts on the 23rd of November at Tynecastle. A few nights later, it's Bruges, Celtic Park on the 27th. Massive game to look forward to. Then we're Ross County a few days later at Celtic Park on the 30th. Then get into December, Aberdeen on the 4th. A biggie at Pittodrie. I think we're heading up, all going well. And then Hibs, hapless Hibs, to be honest with you, at Celtic Park on the 7th of December. And then around that kind of section off, you've got Dynamo Zagreb on the 10th. They're coming thick and fast in various tournaments. And in the last 8 days now, we've had Aberdeen in the League Cup semi-final at Hampden. Then your European Champions League, Celtic Park on Tuesday against Leipzig. And it's back to league duty today at Rugby Park. That's the life of Celtic. That's just the way it goes. Different challenges, different pitches, different conditions. Huge games to look forward to though, in the weeks ahead. But it's a challenging schedule.
Yeah, but that's what we love it for. Like, this is where Celtic kick on and other teams falter. And we've found that over the years that when the toughest fixtures come our way, we do better than the opposition. The opposition feel the pace, they feel the pressure, and they crumble. And that's ultimately what we, as Celtic supporters, want to happen. We want Aberdeen to feel the pace. We want Rangers to feel the pace, which they have done already, and feel the pressure, because we know that we've been through this course many, many times as fans and as a club. We know what we need to do, and that is just take each game at a time and do the best we can. And I think there's so many reasons for optimism at Celtic just now, particularly based on what we've seen on Tuesday night against a top side. That's the levels we need to expect our teams to be at. It wasn't like that today, but it's a different type of game. But we'll go up to Pittodrie as we always do. It's always a great fixture. We've been fairly successful up there. It's a different challenge now. They've got their act together. But how exciting is it going up to a game? Like there was a semi-final, we put 6 past them. Nobody expected that. So we're going to these games now and there's a proper excitement because there is the unknown, if you like. What Aberdeen will turn up at home, great atmosphere, hopefully. So all of those games are kind of, it's licking your lips time and just getting ready to take them all in and enjoy them and hopefully do the best we can, which I think we'll do very, very well.
Yeah, I think we're in a great place. James, just those last 3 games I mentioned, so Aberdeen, Leipzig and Kilmarnock now, Celtic have scored 11 goals, conceded just 1. And it's been great to see. I just think there's a rich vein of form and you'll get days like today. It's just the way football goes. But on that note, your final thoughts on the win at Rugby Park?
Yeah, just very fresh. I'm very happy with it. Fair play Aberdeen, keeping it going. That's us caught up with them today, having them gone top yesterday. So it's, don't get me wrong, I don't want it to be like this at the end of May, but I'm quite enjoying it at the moment, I think. So it's going to be some game the 4th of December. It's a 6-pointer up there. So with the form we're in, but there's a lot of games in between now and then to come. So it'll be interesting stuff, but I think we'll get there in the end.
Yeah, and keep in mind, as we've touched on, Aberdeen don't have that European challenge to deal with. I'm the same. I've been all great for Aberdeen. It's good to see. It's good for the league and great competition. If we're heading into April, May, Brydo, I won't be quite as chirpy about it. But Celtic back on top, as I say. What's your final thoughts on today's win?
Yeah, just glad to get the points and get down the road and kind of tick that fixture off the list for, if they don't make the top 6, we'll only go there once, won't we? So get it out the road and again, just move on. We've got another international break, which I hate, but it'll help the squad, to be fair, to prepare for that run of games, which is good. And yeah, we're seeing different things from different players in different moments, and a lot of it's positive. There's some improvements, but that's what the coaches and the management staff's there to do. And as fans, that's what we want to see, and that's ultimately what we're getting every single game now. So just keep it going and hopefully make improvements wherever we need to, and the trophies will come.
Yeah, here's hoping. Final comment on your screen from Celtic Girl, who says 2-0 in the bag and the invincible season is still on. And who knows, I actually asked the question, didn't I, after Matchday 1, a wee bit tongue-in-cheek at the time, but Celtic's domestic dominance continues, but rather luck a wee bit at times today, but ultimately we get the win and the 3 points. Thanks to you both, Brydo and James, for joining us here on a Sunday evening. Thanks to everyone who continues to contribute and to play a huge part in the live shows with your comments and questions. It's really appreciated. And thanks as always to those who continue to listen to the Celtic Exchange podcast. We'll be back tomorrow, Monday, with the weekly show. We'll have a couple of special episodes during the break. We always try and do that during international break, and more details on that soon. But in the meantime, from myself, James and Brydo, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. We'll catch you all again very soon.